Hey everybody, and welcome back to another lecture with Coding with Roby. And in this lecture, we're going to be going over deployment with Heroku. Many of you may be asking, what is Heroku? Heroku is a platform as a service. A platform as a service is one of the main categories for cloud computing. This usually means someone will have to pay on a pay-per-user basis. However, some providers charge a flat monthly fee. For this tutorial, we will be using a free tier. However, with using the free tier, Heroku gives you the limited hours of uptime, but you can always change this if you want to. Heroku helps developers build, run, and operate applications entirely on the cloud. This really means instead of the application being hosted on your personal PC through your local host, we are allowing cloud computing company to handle the deployment of our application. This allows developers to focus on the coding and not have to worry about the infrastructure of their applications. Keeping developers focused on development instead of infrastructure helps a ton when trying to rapidly produce new features. Many companies rely on cloud computing companies like Heroku to handle the entire infrastructure of their application. But Heroku uses dynos. So what are dynos? Dynos are very similar to a normal server. Dynos are Heroku's version of a server, but instead of a physical machine, it is a virtual machine, which means Heroku can easily scale your application's dynos. The limitation with this is that you as a developer only have control over your dynos of your application, not the actual server. However, if you need multiple dynos, you can always scale your application if needed, extremely easy. However, what is Heroku's pricing and how does it change? Pricing depends on many factors of your application and how you want it to perform online. For a majority of this course, we'll be focusing on the free trial, which ultimately comes with a free plan. However, feel free to use whatever plan you are most comfortable with if you want to increase the performance of your application. Businesses of all sizes use Heroku as their cloud platform as a service provider. So when deploying an application manually and having it to be accessed to many people in the world, a lot of infrastructure is involved. You have to plan out the code, deployment system, and how they will be involved with deployment and access to users. You have to think about the DevOps of the application and how it relates to continuous integration and continuous deployment, which is also known as CI/CD. You also have to think about how to deal with scalability and load balancing of an application, and more. So one of the main factors of using Heroku is that it helps with the deployment of our applications so we don't have to focus on infrastructure. Again, this is why we're using Heroku, so we can focus on the code while Heroku focuses on the infrastructure for us. Heroku has some officially supported languages. These languages include Python, which we're going to be using, Node.js, Ruby, Clojure, Go, PHP, Java, and Scala. In addition to these officially supported languages, you can use any programming language that runs on Linux with Heroku via a third-party build pack. Now this brings us back to how does Heroku work within our current development cycle? We have our application using Git as our version control. We have our application backed up on GitHub as our online hosting service. Once we create a Heroku account, we will set it through GitHub to deploy changes that happen to our master branch. And once Heroku deploys the changes from our master branch, the application will be live and available to individuals that want to call the services and applications. Now, if you do not want to use Heroku, there's a couple other hosting options like AWS, Azure, and even Google Cloud. However, for this course, we're going to be focused on Heroku. Okay, now this wraps up this lecture on what Heroku is and how we will be using it, and I will see you in the next video.